the mysterious teacher of the gods, 3 gods in one man. A figure so powerful that ancient Egyptians called him thrice great. The Greeks named him after their messenger god, and he supposedly taught magic to Moses himself. This isn't mythology. This is Hermes Trismegistus, the mysterious figure who shaped Western thought for thousands of years, whose secret teachings were sought by everyone from medieval alchemists to Renaissance geniuses. And the wildest part? We still don't know if he actually existed. Picture ancient Egypt, around 2000 BCE. The pyramids have already stood for centuries. In this world of pharaohs and gods emerges the figure of Thoth, the ibis-headed deity of wisdom, writing, and magic. The Egyptians believed Thoth invented hieroglyphics. He recorded all knowledge in books stored in secret libraries. He weighed human hearts in the afterlife. And he was the scribe of the gods themselves. Fast forward 1,000 years. When the Greeks came to Egypt, they saw Thoth and thought, hey, that's kind of like our god Hermes. Both were messengers between gods and humans. Both were clever tricksters. Both guided souls to the afterlife. So the Greeks started calling Thoth by a new name, Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes the thrice great, great in wisdom, great in priesthood, great in kingship. But here's where it gets weird. Over time, Hermes Trismegistus stopped being seen as just a god. People started believing he was an actual human who lived in Egypt, a man so brilliant that later generations worshipped him as divine. Between 100 and 300 CE, something remarkable happened. A collection of writings appeared, supposedly authored by Hermes Trismegistus himself. We call them the Hermetica. These weren't ordinary books. They claimed to contain the secret wisdom of the universe. How to transform metals into gold, how to capture the power of the stars, how to achieve immortality, how to know God. The core texts were the Corpus Hermeticum, 17 Greek books on theology and philosophy, and the Emerald Tablet, a short text with the famous line, "As above, so below." Think about it. Imagine finding writings supposedly penned by the God of wisdom himself. These weren't just philosophical ideas, they were divine revelations. The teachings blended Egyptian mythology, Greek philosophy, Jewish wisdom, and early Christian ideas. They taught that the universe was one connected system, that humans contained divine sparks, that through secret knowledge, we could understand the cosmic order and even control it. For centuries, these texts were treated like a secret manual to the universe. Then came the fall of Rome. Libraries burned, knowledge scattered. The Western world entered the Dark Ages, and the Hermetic texts were lost to Europe, or at least, most of them were. A few fragments and quotes survived in other works. Alchemists whispered about the lost wisdom. Muslim scholars preserved some texts, but the complete Hermetic writings vanished from Western knowledge until 1460. A monk arrives in Florence, Italy, carrying ancient Greek manuscripts. He brings them to Cosimo de' Medici, the powerful banker ruling the city. The texts are the lost Corpus Hermeticum, unseen for nearly 1,000 years. Cosimo is ecstatic. He immediately orders his scholar Marsilio Ficino to stop translating Plato and focus on these texts instead. Ficino completes the translation in 1463, and suddenly, the forgotten wisdom of Hermes Trismegistus explodes back into European thought. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Europe was in the middle of the Renaissance, a rebirth of classical learning. Artists, scientists, and philosophers were looking to ancient wisdom for inspiration. And here was wisdom, supposedly older than Moses, older than the Greek philosophers, direct from ancient Egypt, the land everyone associated with secret knowledge and powerful magic. The impact was enormous. Leading thinkers became obsessed with Hermetic ideas. Giordano Bruno expanded on Hermetic cosmology, suggesting an infinite universe with countless inhabited worlds. He was eventually burned at the stake for his radical ideas. The alchemist Paracelsus developed new medical treatments based on Hermetic principles, revolutionizing European medicine. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth's court magician, spent decades trying to communicate with angels using Hermetic techniques. Isaac Newton, while developing calculus and the laws of gravity, also wrote thousands of pages of notes on alchemy and Hermetic thought. The Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and countless other secret societies incorporated Hermetic symbols and ideas into their teachings. For nearly 2 centuries, Hermeticism stood alongside Christianity as a powerful intellectual force in Europe. The mind of the Western world was shaped by both. But in 1614, everything changed. A scholar named Isaac Casaubon published a study proving that the Hermetic texts couldn't possibly have been written in ancient Egypt. The Greek style, the references to Plato, the Christian influences, all pointed to the text being written between 100–300 CE. The Hermetic texts weren't ancient Egyptian wisdom predating the Bible. They were products of Greco-Roman Egypt, written when Egyptian, Greek, Jewish, and early Christian ideas were all mixing together. This discovery dealt a serious blow to Hermeticism's authority. If Hermes Trismegistus hadn't written these texts thousands of years ago, were they even worth studying? Many scholars abandoned Hermeticism, focusing instead on the emerging scientific revolution. Yet, the ideas never completely disappeared. And here's the twist. Modern scholars now recognize that while the texts themselves date to the early centuries CE, many of the ideas they contain are indeed much older, with roots in genuine ancient Egyptian thought. So, in a way, both sides were right. The texts weren't as ancient as believed, but they did preserve echoes of ancient wisdom. Even after being debunked, Hermetic ideas kept influencing Western culture. When Europe went through the Enlightenment and turned towards science and reason, Hermeticism went underground but continued through. Occult revival movements of the 1800s like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, esoteric authors like Helena Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley, Carl Jung's psychological theories about alchemy as a map of the psyche New Age spirituality, which borrowed heavily from Hermetic concepts. Even in our modern world, phrases like mind over matter and as above, so below come directly from Hermetic teachings. And the core Hermetic idea, that humans can transform themselves and achieve divine knowledge, shows up everywhere from self-help books to superhero movies. Quantum physics has even led some to revisit Hermetic ideas about the interconnection of all things and the power of the observer. So who was Hermes Trismegistus? A real historical figure? A composite of several teachers? A fictional character created to give authority to philosophical texts? We still don't know. But maybe that's fitting for the messenger between worlds, the keeper of secret knowledge. What we do know is that for thousands of years, the most brilliant minds in the Western world were shaped by his teachings, and that the texts attributed to him contain one of the most powerful ideas ever conceived, that humans can achieve divine knowledge through personal transformation, which raises a disturbing question. What if the ancient Egyptians really did possess knowledge we've forgotten? What if modern science, for all its achievements, is missing something fundamental about reality that Hermes understood thousands of years ago? After all, the warning of Hermes himself echoes through the centuries. Those who fail to understand will believe everything, but those who understand will question everything. And there's one last riddle. The Emerald Tablet ends with a strange line about Hermes possessing the three parts of the wisdom of the whole world. Modern scholars still debate what these three parts are, but some believe the third part, the most secret knowledge, was never written down at all.